The Battle of Beth Oron took place in October 66 in the Beth Oron Gorge, located about 10 and 12 miles northwest of Jerusalem. It involved the Jews and the Romans, with the Jews emerging as the victors. This defeat of the Romans was unprecedented and had significant consequences as it led to a widespread Jewish uprising against Rome, escalating the conflict into a full-scale war. During ancient times, the region occupied by modern-day Israel was relatively small and lacked natural resources, making it difficult for the Jews to resist the power of the Roman Empire. However, this area served as a vital thoroughfare connecting the larger empires to the east, such as the Assyrians, Babylonians, and Persians, with those to the west, including the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. The Jews made a unique contribution to the Western world through their development of an exclusive monotheistic belief system. They worshipped a single all-powerful God named Jehovah, who they believed watched over them but also demanded a high standard of ethical conduct. Despite facing great odds, the Jewish people fought fiercely for their liberty throughout history. Their belief in their own uniqueness and their intolerance of other religions often resulted in a sense of separation and widespread animosity against them in the ancient world. In 63 BCE, the Roman consul Pompey Magnus annexed Syria and besieged Jerusalem, capturing the city. Roman soldiers took control of the temple, and although the treasury was preserved, Pompey entered the Holy of Holies, a sacred place accessible only to the high priest. This act exemplified Roman rule in the region. Although Jews constituted only a small percentage of the Roman Empire's population, approximately 6 to 9%, they were seen as a constant problem. Roman insensitivity, sacrilege, and poor governance led to riots and uprisings, resulting in brutal reprisals. This region of the empire attracted less competent Roman officials, which further fueled Jewish extremism. Many Jews began to believe that a reckoning with Rome was inevitable, leading to the emergence of a group known as the Zealots. In May 66 CE, under the Roman procurator Gessius Florus, tensions escalated, and the Zealots seized control of Jerusalem. Despite being promised amnesty, Roman forces stationed at the Antonia fortress overlooking the temple were massacred. Gessius lost control of Judea and sought assistance from the Roman governor of Syria, Cestius Gallus, stationed in Antioch. Cestius had a larger force at his disposal, consisting of 4 legions. However, it took Cestius 3 months to assemble an expeditionary force. His army, centered around the 12th Fulminata, Thunderbolt, legion of 4,800 men, included an additional 6,000 legionnaires from 3 other legions. Cestius also had cavalry and auxiliary infantry, totaling 2,000 and 5,000 respectively, along with additional support from allied forces and Greek militias eager to take action against the Jews. In October 66, Cestius easily subdued Galilee and launched a campaign of terror, intending to eliminate any threats to his rear and intimidate the Jewish population along the route to Jerusalem. Moderate forces were left to maintain control over Galilee, while other units were detached to secure the seaport of Joppa, resulting in its destruction and the killing of many residents. Additional Roman columns secured other potential rebel strongholds. After regrouping at Caesarea, Cestius and his forces advanced towards Jerusalem. He anticipated a swift conclusion to the campaign before the heavy autumn rains could make the roads impassable. Up to this point, Jewish resistance had been sporadic and disorganized. Cestius was under the impression that his terror campaign had been successful. As he approached Jerusalem through the Beth Oron Gorge, he neglected to conduct a proper reconnaissance, which proved to be a grave mistake. Taking advantage of this oversight, the Jews launched a surprise ambush, targeting the head of the Roman column before they could organize themselves. According to Jewish sources, the Romans suffered around 500 casualties, while the Jews lost only 22. Despite this setback, Cestius recovered and resumed his advance. He established a camp on Mount Scopus, less than a mile from the city. However, the Zealots, a determined Jewish faction, refused to negotiate or engage with any emissaries, even going so far as to execute one. After several days of waiting, on October 15, Cestius ordered his troops to enter Jerusalem. The Jews fell back to the inner city walls. The Romans attempted to quell the resistance by burning the suburb of Bethesda, hoping it would lead to submission. However, the plan failed, and the Romans launched full-scale attacks but were unable to breach the Jewish defenses. After a week of intense fighting, Cestius made a sudden decision to withdraw. The unexpectedly fierce Jewish resistance, the approaching winter, and shortages of supplies and transport were factors influencing his choice. Cestius chose to retreat back to the coast through the Beth Oron Gorge, once again neglecting to station guards on the surrounding hills. This allowed the Jews to launch an assault on the Roman forces within the narrow defile. Other Jewish groups moved to block the Roman escape. The ensuing engagement, known as the Battle of Beth Oron, turned into a rout. Although Cestius and the majority of his troops managed to escape, they suffered heavy losses, including the loss of all their supplies and nearly 6,000 men. The 12th Legion also lost its Eagle Standard. The equipment captured by the Jews would prove valuable in their later efforts to resist Roman siege operations. The Battle of Beth Horon had significant consequences. One immediate outcome was the massacre of Jews in Damascus, as the Greek rulers there believed they had the support of Cestius. While the victory at Beth Horon prevented an immediate suppression of the Jewish revolt, it motivated Jews who were previously hesitant to join the cause to join the Zealots. Many saw the victory as a sign that God favored their struggle. By November, the Jews had established an independent secessionist government in Jerusalem. The Romans could not tolerate this defiance. Emperor Nero appointed Vespasian as the commander of an expeditionary force tasked with bringing Judea under control. Vespasian, accompanied by his son Titus and their legions, launched the invasion in 69 CE. Despite some delays, the Romans captured Jerusalem in 70 CE with relative ease, owing to internal divisions among the Jews. The sack of the city was devastating, resulting in a significant loss of life. According to the Jewish historian Josephus, approximately 1 million people perished during the siege. The Romans also burned the temple. Although a few isolated Jewish fortresses held out for several more years, the Jewish state ceased to exist. The Romans renamed the region Syria-Palestina. It would be nearly 2 millennia later, in 1948, when a Jewish nation-state was established once again.